I gave my father my kidney to save his life. Months later, he announced my sister was inheriting the family business I'd worked for years to build, saying I was too emotional for leadership. Their faces turned pale when I revealed. Mohammed's office was a fortress of legal files and coffee cups. He closed the door, checked it twice, then pulled down the blinds. Before we start, he said, lowering his voice, I need to know how far you're willing to go. I settled into his leather chair. How far do we need to go? He opened his laptop, turning it toward me. I've been tracking some irregularities in our financial reports, small discrepancies at first, but they add up. His fingers flew across the keyboard, pulling up spreadsheets. Look at these offshore transfers. I leaned forward, scanning the numbers. These are all authorized by Oliver with your father's digital signature, but here's where it gets interesting. He clicked another tab. They all trace back to accounts owned by someone named Rodney Palmer. Never heard of him, I said. Exactly. He's not on any official documents, but his name keeps popping up in encrypted emails. I think he's a silent partner. A knock made us both jump. Mohammed slammed his laptop shut as Oliver walked in, his usual nervous energy amplified. Sorry to interrupt, Oliver said, eyes darting between us. Sol, your sister's looking for you, something about promotional photos. Tell her I'm busy, he lingered. Also, your father wanted me to remind you about the confidentiality agreements you signed last year. I smiled sweetly. Thanks for your concern, Oliver. How's the Singapore audit coming along? Fine, everything's fine. He backed out, closing the door too quickly. He's scared, Mohammed observed. Good, I reopened the laptop. Show me everything. For the next 3 hours, we dug through digital breadcrumbs, suspicious wire transfers, doctored audit reports, email threads with coded language about special arrangements, and legacy planning. Your father's careful, Mohammed said, rubbing his eyes. Nothing explicitly illegal, but enough smoke to suggest a fire. I took a sip of cold coffee. We need more. I can request internal audits, but they'll notice. No, I pulled out my phone, scrolling through contacts. I know someone better. Remember Phoebe from law school? The one who became a journalist, specializing in corporate corruption. She works independently now. I started typing a message. She owes me a favor. Mohammed grabbed my wrist. Sol, lay back. Think about this. If we involve the press, they'll destroy my career. Why should I protect theirs? My phone chimed. Phoebe's response. Interesting. Coffee tomorrow. As I left Mohammed's office, I heard voices from the conference room. Isla's distinctive laugh carried through the slightly ajar door. The transition will be smooth, my father was saying. Soleil won't cause problems, she better not. An unfamiliar male voice responded, we've invested too much to let emotional family drama derail the plan. I pressed against the wall, holding my breath. Trust me, Rodney, my father replied. She'll accept her new role or find herself unemployable in this industry. Rodney Palmer, the silent partner. I pulled out my phone and started recording. And the legacy plan, Rodney asked. On schedule. Once the public offering is announced, we'll begin phase 2. By then, Leela will be the perfect figurehead. Young, charismatic, easily managed, and completely disposable, Rodney added with a chuckle. My hand shook as I stopped the recording. Even Isla was just a pawn in their game, I thought. Back in my office, I found a folder on my desk marked Transition Documents. Inside was a contract effectively demoting me to an advisory role, with a hefty non-disclosure agreement attached. I scanned the signature page, noting my father's familiar scrawl at the bottom. Something about it caught my eye. I pulled up old contracts on my computer, comparing signatures. They were identical, pixel-perfect identical. Looking for something, I jumped as Oliver stood in my doorway. His forced smile didn't reach his eyes. Just reviewing the paperwork, I said, matching his fake smile. Everything looks in order, he nodded slowly. Good. Your father wants all transitions completed by next week. He paused. Sol, be careful with old files. Some things are better left in the past. After he left, I opened my encrypted email and sent everything I had to my personal account. As I was logging out, a notification popped up. Legacy Plan PDF requires administrative access. I clicked it. A password prompt appeared. On a hunch, I typed Rodney Palmer. Access granted. The file opened, revealing a detailed timeline, public offering, corporate restructuring, asset liquidation, and there, in cold corporate language, was the truth. They planned to dissolve the company entirely, leaving shareholders and Isla with nothing. My phone buzzed, a text from Phoebe. Found something interesting about your father's friend Rodney. Meeting still on for tomorrow. I looked at the legacy plan, then at the family photo on my desk. Time to show them what real killer instinct looks like. Tomorrow, I replied, and bring everything you have. The press conference was a masterclass in corporate theater. Isla stood at the podium, perfectly styled in a designer suit, delivering rehearsed lines about family legacy and innovative leadership, while our father beamed proudly beside her. I watched from the back, playing my new role perfectly, the supportive sister gracefully accepting her demotion. My phone buzzed silently in my pocket, Phoebe requesting another meeting. And of course, Isla was saying, I couldn't do this without my amazing sister Sol, who's been such a mentor to me. The reporters turned cameras toward me. I smiled, waved, died a little inside. How do you feel about the transition? Someone called out. I'm thrilled, I lied smoothly. Isla brings a fresh perspective that the company needs. Later, in a quiet coffee shop across town, Phoebe spread documents across our table. Your friend Rodney has quite a history, she said, sliding over a mugshot. Securities fraud in 2010, charges mysteriously dropped. Money laundering investigation in 2015, evidence disappeared. And now he's my father's secret partner. More than that, she pulled out more papers. Shell companies linking him to 3 other pharmaceutical distributors that mysteriously went bankrupt after their public offerings, a classic pump and dump scheme. My coffee went cold as she laid out the pattern. Build up company value, take it public, then strip it for parts, while small investors lose everything. The question is, Phoebe said, what's your angle, revenge, justice, protection? All of the above. I showed her the legacy plan. They're planning to destroy everything I built, and they're using my sister as a puppet. Speaking of your sister, Phoebe pulled up Instagram on her phone. She's doing a remarkable job selling the story. Isla's latest post showed her in the CEO's office, my former office, captioned dreams do come true. Girl boss family blessed. She has no idea she's being used. I said, will you warn her? I thought about all the times Isla had thrown me under the bus, all the family dinners where she'd subtly undermined me. She made her choice. My phone chimed, a message from an unknown number. We know what you did, back off now. I showed it to Phoebe. She whistled low. They're scared. Good. Back at the office, I played my part, attended meetings, smiled at the right moments, acted appropriately subdued. Meanwhile, Phoebe's team dug deeper, following money trails and connecting dots. Your father's hosting a board meeting next week, Mohammed told me during our daily covert meeting in the parking garage. Presenting the public offering timeline, perfect. I handed him a USB drive. Plant this in Oliver's computer. It'll give us access to his encrypted files. He hesitated. Are you sure about this? Once we start, there's no going back. Another text arrived. Final warning, we have proof you're bluffing. I said, but my hands shook slightly. What proof could they have? Maybe about the kidney donation medical records. I laughed bitterly. Let them try. That'll play great in the press. They took my kidney, then took my job. The next day, I arrived early to find my office door ajar. Inside, someone had gone through my files. Amateur move. I kept nothing important there anymore. Isla breezed in around noon with a camera crew in tow. So, we're doing a piece about female leadership in business. Want to say a few words about passing the torch? I smiled for the cameras. Of course, family is everything.